Well, the last board now is the filter and headphone board. So once again, I'm going to make a separate video of that just to try to keep the lengths down, and it's going to be a pretty short video, I think, because you've all seen how it's done. It's just another version of the one I've just completed. So it won't be a long video, but the longest video after that will probably be testing and cleaning it. So that's coming up. And once again, there are two different sets of capacitors, electrolytic and film, and these are the electrolytic caps which are on this board. In fact, there's only 3 of them. And there are 8 film capacitors for us to replace of various voltages and values. Alright, so I'm going to carry on with the headphone and equalizer board, I think it's called, this puppy here today. By the way, I've made a decision that I am going to replace these remaining electrolytics in there, even though they didn't come with a kit. This is supposed to be a recap exercise, not a partial recap, so I've got to go out and buy those, but shouldn't be too big a deal. So anyway, I'm going to start with this, and by shining the light through the board we can tell that the first one to replace is this puppy here. So let's get to it. We reach around and there it is. Let's check it. Should be 100 microfarads and it's reading 115. So it's probably a good cap, but we're replacing it anyway. We're playing good cap, bad cap today in the police station. And here's the replacement, 100 mic at 25 volts. Now we've got to make sure it goes back in the right way. Remember, this is polarity dependent. Now, right away I did a stupid thing because I forgot to note the polarity of the cap before I took it out. So if you don't know about such things, this could fox you, because how do you know how to get it back in again? Well, look at the circuit diagram, and here are the 2 holes here, and it tells me that the positive is connected to two different resistors, which in fact is there and there. So this has got to be the positive, and as a double check, this does look like a negative line. So the positive lead of this, which is the longer one, goes towards the edge of the board. Well, that's till it blows up, of course. Okay, they're pushed through the holes. We've double checked. The positive is the longer lead, which is towards this edge of the board. So let's get it in there. I apologise if I get in my own way. That's it. Alright, so that's C231 installed, and if you check it against the photograph that was taken before, you can see that the negative side of the cap, denoted by this line, was actually inboard, so I've got it the right way around. And that's C223 installed. And next we tackle these 2 charmers, C235 and 236. This is a photo I've taken just to note the orientation of the negative leads. You can see that the black stripe on the side of the can indicates the negative lead, and they're in opposite directions, so it ought to be easy to put them back, put the new ones back. So, shining a light through the board, so we know they're in this area here somewhere, and you can actually see the shadow of the cap. So there's one of them is there, and the other one is just there. So let's get that one out first. We'll identify it with a little mark here, and the other one is just there. And this one wasn't so easy because the legs had been bent over behind the board, you know, so it took a little bit more wrestling out. So with my trusty magnifying glass, this is supposed to be a 22 microfarad, so let's test it. And it's coming up as 20 microfarad, so yep, just within spec. So let's find the replacement. So 27 mic, this one at 60 odd volts, so that's within spec. So I'm not sure if you can see the leads poking through, but they're just here. So again, apologies if I get in my own light. Let's just solder these in. Trying to be very careful to stop my hands shaking. Shouldn't have had that 15th pint last night, because I don't want to burn this, you know. Anyway, let's just take a magnifying glass to it and see if I've got decent joints. And yes, I have. I'd also like to just clear off that this really needs brushing with a brush, I think, before we finished. Just want to make sure there's no gunge in the middle of those tracks, you know. And there is not, so we cut these out. Job done. Right, I'm going to replace the third, and that's all I'm doing today. You don't need to see that, so we'll come back when I've finished. And these are the 3 electrolytics as they sit on the circuit board. These have now been replaced and crossed off the list. Done. Today we're going to begin with the carry on, shall I say, with the film capacitors on this filter and headphone board. And the first one to come out, there are 3 in this area here. The first one is C222, which is that one, little one there. So try not to get in my own way. Let's have that baby out. Okay, I'll have to turn it over to pull the cap out, and as if by magic, there it is. So now we'll test it and make sure we find the correct one in the kit to put it back, replace it. The leads are in, just there and there, and we'll solder it in. It's easy as that, if you're lucky. We'll take out now the cap right immediately below that, which is C226. I think I know where it is, but let's just identify it. It's here. So it's that one there. You can see the rectangular outline because it's a big rectangular block. So let's pull that one. It's right there, right there. I like to use editing software to get rid of all my cuss words and mistakes, so that everyone thinks everything works perfectly every time, which it doesn't. Actually, I think I'm pretty honest with my mistakes. I do own up to them. All right, let's yank that one out. And there it is, another little chocolate block. This one also should be 1 mic at 250 volts. Let's just check it. Well, I think my needle is stuck. Here's the, if I had a needle, there's the replacement, and again 0.89, so that can go in. The leads are through, and it's just there. Again, try not to get in my own light or your way. Use the smallest amount of heat in the shortest time that you can. Oh, excuse me, and that's it in there. Cut off the leads. Try not to have them flying around inside the amp. Oh, here we go. Here we go. So that's C226 fitted, and now we'll go to C225, which again I think is here, but I think it's those two there, but I'm gonna have to check it. I'm not that confident. Yes, it is. So we will see if we can get that one out. All right, C225 and 226 are now fitted. Onto the next step. So these three here used to look like that, and now they look like that. They're replaced. So next we go on to this one, which again is a 1 microfarad, and then these four here, which are two different values. Okay, the leads are through, and we just need to solder them up. Desperately trying not to burn these wires at the same time, of course. Just like that. It's way too easy. Something must be wrong. Well, it's like any job. If you repeat it often enough, it gets easier, and it also gets neater. So I'll just check these. Someone's been on this board before, and it looks rather rough underneath. I'm going to have to go around here with a toothbrush and some cleaning solution. I'm not at all sure there isn't some solder flecks hanging around, but anyway, let's take another look. And there is C222 fitted. Cutting this a bit shorter now, you've seen it all before. So now 4 1 microfarad capacitors, which you'll see crossed off the list now. So now we're going to finish off the last 4 capacitors on this board here, and they should be laying in this area here. So using the old method, I'll turn the light off and try to identify them. Okay, you can actually see the rectangular image through. There's one of them there, and there's the other one there. So let's take this one out first. Here we are. And you can see the little mark I made on the board there, which is showing me where to go. So let's take that little puppy out. I must admit, this board It's got all the signs of having been visited before. It really needs cleaning up. It looks as though, I don't know, you know. I don't know. Certainly need an air gun and a powerful vacuum cleaner to get all the rest of the stuff out. While I'm here, I'll just unsolder the second one. And using our tried and tested method, out comes the first one like a rotten tooth. That was C211 and 212. And here they are crossed off the list. Well, there's only 2 more to go. We must be on the home straight, don't you think? Well, think again. And now C203 and 204, which will be in this area here again. I'm going to use the searchlight method. That's one. Excuse me. Just mark it. There's one. And the other one is further up. There's the second one. Right, let's whip those out. So looking at the parts list, they should be 0.47 of a microfarad. And that is about right. That is about 0.491 of a microfarad. Whereas this is 0.051 of a microfarad. So have they given me the wrong capacitor? I need to check it on the parts list. And this is the parts list from the manual, and you can see it should be 0.047 of a microfarad installed. So let's have a little look at where that capacitor sits in the circuit and what it's doing. It's not just a DC blocking capacitor, this is a CR network, so there's some filtering going on here. So the answer is he's given me the wrong capacitors. They should be like 47 nanofarad and he's given me 470 nanofarad. He's a factor of 10 out, and that is what is going by the actual parts list. So I'm not very happy by that. The last 2 bloody capacitors I want to put in, and they're wrong. Well, I've made a decision, and you can see it in this excerpt from the circuit diagram there. And it looks to me like it's in some kind of RC network which is doing a bit of filtering on the input to the headphone board. I might get away with putting in a capacitor of 10 times the value, but as those 2 that came out tested perfectly okay, I'm going to take the risk and put them back in again. And that, as they say, is all she wrote. So I've left these 2 capacitors in as they're the right values. He sent me the wrong values and they check out okay. And also there are all these other film capacitors here that I've not been given any replacements for, all these here, so they're not prone to going wrong, so I'm going to leave them. And then on this board here I just confirmed with the shop today that they're sending me the replacements for these capacitors here, one there and one kind of over there. So that's 6 electrolytics that do need replacing that he never gave me. So next time when I come to recap the power amp, I'm likely going to assemble my own list. Now I know how to do it. Save me a fortune as well. Anyway, nice try but no cigar.